Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today and to allow me to share a little bit about what I know uh, and to answer whatever questions that you might have. My background is a lot of what you've already mentioned, and basically, I studied law and economics at Keele University, and I completed my CLP. And I proceeded to be called to the bar, and I was a litigator for about 6 years plus. Um, and a lot of how I got involved into commerce and IP is also based on the background of my jobs that I've had. So as a litigator with Messrs. Sriram and Co., I did a lot of suits relating to commerce and IP, but not so much IP. It's more commerce and banking, sorry, right? The firm did a lot of IP, but I personally was involved in commerce and banking litigation. And after a couple of years there, I moved to another law firm, and I was still involved in commerce and banking. And I think after I'd spent a total of 6 years as a litigator, I decided to move on to M Investment Bank. I spent 5 glorious years there. It was very interesting for me because it was also the era of e-banking and alliances. That was the time when they started to make payments electronically using internet, but then only via a credit card, right? It was still not dipping into the bank accounts yet. So that was the very start. And with that, there was a lot of alliances that were formed, where, for instance, Petronas might want to have their logo onto credit cards issued by a local bank. So that kind of alliances were cropping up everywhere, mushrooming. And it was a very interesting time because that's where commerce really married IP, right? So I spent 5 years there, and then I got back to practice for a little while as a partner in a law firm. And then I decided to go back in-house, and I was with a sports marketing company. This was a job that I truly enjoyed because I've always enjoyed sports, and sports is where total sports was where there was a lot of transactions. So a bit of background about total sports, which also shows you how much of IP experience I've had. Total Sports was a sports marketing company, and when they first started, about 8 years before I came in, they had their own. They had the rights from WWE wrestling to sell their media rights in Asia, right? So they sold their media rights in Asia, which meant that they would tie up with the RTMs of Asia, right? So in Malaysia, they went to RTM and said, "We've got the rights to WWE. Would you be interested?" And if RTM says, "Yes, they've got quite a following, I want to do this," then RTM would sign up a license agreement with the help of Total Sports Asia, and they would then get a license for, say, 1 year or 2 years, depending on how many years they wanted, and that was a commercial transaction. But what they were really getting is the IP rights to the media footage of their events. So that meant that they could, for the duration of the license given to them, run the WWE events, but the terms and conditions were very specific. How many times a week were they allowed to air, and for exactly how long, how much would RTM pay for these rights, right? And things like that.
Who has asked, for starters, do you recommend entrepreneurs to self-learn about the legal side of their proposed business, or should they hire or collaborate with others for that side of job?
There's a saying that a little bit of knowledge can be very dangerous. Sometimes there's certain things that you can read up on, but I think if you're trying to avoid a pitfall, it is always safest to start out right. I would like to think that the law is very, very complex. You might think the top layer, but it just goes really, really deep, and anything can go wrong along those layers. So I would say that you know get the right advice early.
Okay. All right. So getting the right advice early. Okay.